Okay, so this is one of my favorite paragraphs in the piece that I wrote about my friendship with my friend Liz. And it's kind of describing my thought process as she started becoming friends with my friends. And I think that it's pretty strong and gets its point across pretty well about how I was feeling at the time. So over here, we start with the short sentence. I was wrong. It's about as simple as it gets in terms of sentences. Um, it uses the no new contract because the thing that I was wrong about is mentioned directly above in the sentence before it. That thing being that her sitting with our, like in our library group, was not going to be a recurring thing. So we start off strong with the known new contract, and a very short sentence. We mix it up a little. I use a pretty conversational tone here, with like the pretty soon, and then like the sentence fragments, um, and then like I continue to think, and then to my disdain. It is a very conversational tone because the whole paragraph feels as though I am talking directly to someone, um, about my experience with Liz. So I think that, yeah, the use of those like little kind of phrases at the beginning of the sentences, kind of add to that feeling. These sentence fragments, um, there are two of them, and I'm choosing to use them because I wanted to like kind of show the um, assimilation of Liz into our friend group. Like it started with her just showing up in the morning, and then it started happening in the afternoon, and then it started at night. And I don't really elaborate on any of those fragments because it's kind of like I'm exasperated. It's like she's in here in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. I can never escape her. Yeah, so I stand for those fragments. I want them to be there. Um, so the next two sentences are kind of the same format a little bit. It's like a phrase and then the conjunction and then um yeah, and then another phrase, although in this one it's like a subordinating phrase over here, um, because it's still Liz, the subject, doing both actions in these two phrases, but like the structure of like phrase and phrase is the same down here, um, in this sentence over here. And I kind of use similar structure in these two phrases because it's like juxtaposing our two different things that we're doing to kind of not be friends. Like, I continued to think that she had a pretty awful resting bitch face, and she continued to give short, guarded answers whenever I asked her a question. And I choose to use the word continued both times here because, yeah, I just really wanted to emphasize that it was both of us kind of contributing to this weird, uh, like, not friendship. Like, we were both making choices that kind of shut the other out. And so I think I tried to get that point across, with the same use of the word continued. Um, yeah, I use some adjectives here, short and guarded answers. That's what they were. So I'm trying to give like a little bit of specifics here. And then pretty awful resting bitch face. Maybe that's a little bit repetitive because one wouldn't assume that a resting bitch face would be good. But pretty awful is kind of, I just want to show like, this is like the worst resting bitch face I've ever seen. Like, it's intimidating. I am trying to get that across with the use of like those adjectives. Yeah. And then, yes, to my disdain. Again, it kind of helps with the conversational tone of the paragraph. And then everyone else seemed to be happy about Liz's addition to the group. I think addition is a power word, disdain is a power word. I use a semicolon, the only one in the whole paragraph. I chose to do that mostly to mix up like the pattern of phrase, conjunction, phrase, because I feel like I tend to kind of use the same sentence structure a little bit throughout whatever piece that I'm working on. So I wanted to do a semicolon to mix it up, and I also added this sentence to make it clear that like people in our friend group like wanted Liz there. So that's actually a really important sentence. And yeah, these are again kind of really specific examples of to show like how these people are happy that she's joining our friend group. Like, I'm not just saying that people are happy that Liz is joining the group. Like, this is supposed to be showing that they did include her in our group chat and they did invite her regularly to like friend group events, which I was not a fan of. So yeah, overall, I feel like this paragraph kind of uses a variety of tools with like the sentence fragments and then the like structure, if not completely parallel, with like the use of continued, and then like me being the subject here and her being the subject here, and then the conjunction of and in both of these sentences, but with a fair bit of like difference or variety too, with a semicolon over here to kind of give insight into my thought process at the time, but to show the juxtaposition between like how I felt versus how my friends felt about her. So yeah, this paragraph is definitely important in the piece, I would say, which is maybe why I like it so much. It's maybe not groundbreaking, but I do think that it's a pretty important paragraph, and I think it's written well to show what I wanted it to show. So, okay. Merry Christmas!